We're still on key events and battles. This is ChatGPT's high school level test. But what role did the French play in the American Revolution? That's something, again, I could understand and figure out by even reading an elementary school level text. So what role did the French have? So I know that the French were allies with America. This I know going in. If your teacher taught you about the international, or taught you about the American Revolution on the international stage, you will know that several countries got involved or questioned if they should got involved, or were hoping that Britain would fall or the Americans would rise up to help break up the British Empire. Because remember, Britain is still in Europe. Britain is still in Europe, and it has competing neighbors and people who are unhappy with a big empire lurking behind them or at their doorstep. So Europe had competing neighbors, and we have to remember that Spain, France, Britain, all conquered or colonized North America, or what we're going to call the 50 states, or the 48 states of America, at one point or another. In fact, this includes parts of Canada. So, what role did the French play in the American Revolution? They remained neutral, they supported Britain with troops, they provided military and financial assistance to the Americans, they colonized parts of the South. So I don't know that France colonized the South. When I think of the South, originally I'm going to think of the 13 colonies in the South. I'm not thinking about the westward expansion yet. It's a little bit too early in there. So even if France did colonize parts of the South, is it talking about the 13 colonies South, or just the southern region? Or was it a neighbor too? So they colonized parts of the South. Well, 13 colonies, as far as I'm concerned, when they say the South with a capital S, it's denoting a group of states, or a regional group, which I would say is the American British colonies. So I can actually rule this out right away. They colonized parts of the South. As far as I'm concerned, the South is still American British, certainly not French territory. Okay, they supported Britain with troops, and they remained neutral. Okay, it's important to know that Spain, France, Britain were all empires just swallowing up the North American continent and parts of South America as well, especially with Spain. So these are empires that don't particularly like each other and are competing for land. There was an imperial struggle to seize the continent. So it doesn't make sense that they would support Britain with troops. In fact, France, geopolitically, would love to see Britain break apart. So from a geopolitical standpoint, France would love to see Britain break apart. In fact, they didn't get along, and they will continue to fight in the 1800s. So we can actually just rule this out. Okay, they remained neutral, or they provided military and financial assistance to the Americans. You might assume that they remained neutral, but we do know that there was a French and Indian War prior to the American Revolution, again. So the British-French relations were always very combative and conflicting and aggressive and hostile with each other. So I'm going to assume they did not remain neutral, because if they are enemies, if they are competing for land, why would they remain neutral? It sounds like a perfect geopolitical opportunity for them to support the Americans and help break up the British Empire and watch them suffer. The answer is C. They provided military and financial assistance to the Americans because they were against one another. So they are enemies. Sorry about my handwriting. So that is how you think with a historical mindset and exercise historical critical thinking skills, and just think about the timeline and how empires behave. So I didn't have to know exactly their relationship, but if I just know how empires behave, I know that they constantly are trying to sabotage each other, or joining other groups, or trying to get Native Americans to rise up and fight with the colonists. So there you have it. C, they provided military and financial assistance to the Americans. And that's a about, I believe that's right after the Battle of Saratoga.